listening to the Marginally Geeky Show, the epically geeky book club.
Greetings and welcome to the Marginally Geeky Show. I'm your host for the evening, Eugene Stevens. This is episode 2, our discussion of The Martian. Before we get started, one of our members was not able to make it to our first episode, so we're going to do a quick introduction with her. Jennifer, would you like to do a little intro on yourself?
Sure. I work at the local chamber of commerce where I live as the director of communications, and I guess I've started reading. I've been reading my whole life. I've always loved sci-fi and fantasy the most, and most recently I've been getting into historical thrillers, and I've tried getting myself into some nonfiction and self-help and all that, but I have a hard time going with all that. So anyways, I've always, loved getting lost in stories and kind of escaping from my real life and in that way.
Well, very cool. So, how's everyone been? It's been a month since we're reconvening here. We went through Thanksgiving here in the States. So, anyone have anything in particular that was of interest that happened to them, or?
Trump's our president.
Oh yeah, that happened to you guys.
There's that.
I guess technically that did happen.
Yes, that did happen.
That was a thing, huh? So
and we watched from afar.
Yes. So I guess with that, let's head to Mars.
Legit.
What? Never mind.
A lot of books, a lot of great books, are noted for their opening line. I believe this book has one of the best opening lines ever, and it simply starts out, "Well, I'm pretty much fucked." If you like I said, hopefully you're joining us because you've also read the book. This
if
was
not, spoiler
to me.
alert.
This sets the entire story. To me, this sets the entire story. It gives you an idea of kind of what's happening, what his mood is. It also already explains a lot about his personality. The main character of the book is Mark Watney. He's part of the Ares 3, I believe, mission that went to Mars. And the first 5 chapters of the book are literally just his notes, his running commentary. So pretty much in a nutshell, they're on him and the rest of the mission are the group are on Mars. They encounter a really bad sandstorm, and he is speared with a communications antenna, and all of his life support shows that he has died. So they immediately have to abort and leave what they think is his corpse there. When he wakes up, he starts to explain that the only reason he made it is because the blood was able to clot. It formed a seal in the suit, and it kept him alive. So he makes it back to their home base and proceeds to start to figure out how the hell he's going to survive on Mars by himself. The first thing he starts thinking about is how he's going to produce water, how he's going to conserve water, and then what he's going to eat. He explains in great detail about how much food was left, and since there's only one person left, this will extend his food rations out to a certain date, but it's still nowhere near the amount of days that he needs until the 4th mission is planned. So he starts coming up with these plans on trying to grow potatoes. And then he starts talking about how he makes water out of oxygen and fuel. He almost dies. That was the first time I guess technically the second time he almost dies.
Yeah.
But yeah, so he almost dies. He gets it figures out what he was doing or whatever. And then before we get to chapter 6, which is when we start getting more characters and some of the other side of the story, is there anything in particular that kind of stuck out to y'all?
I kind of like the beginning of the book and the end of the book both kind of end up with someone leaving the surface after a dust storm. Well, that was kind of a nice little bow that they kind of tied in. But it's not like very, I guess, in your face. But I like how everyone left because of the dust storm, and then he at the very end was the last person to leave after a dust storm. I thought that was kind of a cool little.
I didn't even think about that. I didn't even put that together, to be honest with you.
Yeah, that didn't cross my mind. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, it wasn't like kind of blaring in your face, but I thought it was just a nice little callback.
Nice
to
little
the
subtle bookend.
Yeah, just a nice little callback to, everyone else was able to get off, but then he was finally able to get off, on his own. Just a little thing.
I particularly like that they started off so long with just his perspective, and that you really got to know his character, and you were really pulling for him right off the hop, which is kind of cool. So
you actually cared about him.
Yeah.
So much
extremely likable character.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was really struck by his personality. He had a great sense of humor, and the way he explained everything, it didn't seem like it was a diary entry kind of, but it didn't seem like he was trying to tell a story. He was just explaining his day.
Yeah.
It came off
very nonchalant that he's stuck on Mars.
Well, it seemed this sounds stupid, but it seemed very realistic, like he's recording the day-to-day stuff that he's doing and different things that he's trying, and it didn't feel like, and now I'm going to tell you about this because it's going to be important in another chapter, and it felt very natural the way that it was told. And I think just the voice that the author uses in general throughout the book is really, really grabbing. So because I'll be honest, it was real slow when I first started it, because I'm like, okay, technological banter. I get it.
Well, those are two of the main things that I wanted to point out was the humor, number one. We'll get back to that in a second, but this is hardcore sci-fi, and the reason why it is because it is very grounded. The author Andy Weir did a ton of research, and from what I've read, 95% of all of the numbers he throws out there are pretty damn accurate.
Really?
Yeah.
He may have exaggerated or missed the mark on a few things here and there, but for the most part, at least given the information that he's assuming, his calculations are correct, which is one of the reasons I really dug the book. I know when I talked to, when I was talking to Kris, I know you said you were having a little difficulty with it because it was so factual, it was so dense with numbers and stuff.
Yeah, it was just a lot of, I don't like math, so it was a lot of math. and I like the way Andy Weir writes, they're not long, drawn on paragraphs of just dribble, it's to the point. So I liked that, so it was easier to get through it, but it was just I get it, and this times this, and that times that, and you have to do this. And I just couldn't, and I'm like, if this is the whole book, I'm going to glaze over and not absorb any of it.
But I did like that he started adding in there, just trust me, I did the math.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I thought that was interesting. As the book went on, I almost wonder if, which leads us back to the humor, I almost wonder if about halfway through the book, someone said, hey, listen, I know you're doing the mathematics, but it's getting kind of dry. Can you do something to spice it up some? And when he introduces the idea of, I'm trying to think what calculation it was. It was I think the amount of energy he needed to be able to continue his travel, and he's instead of calling it that, I'm just going to call it pirate ninjas.
Yes.
I need this many pirate ninjas to continue on.
Yes, I liked that. How did he get on board with it? The pirate ninja thing was cool.
Yeah.
Yes.
But his humor in the book is awesome. I mean, at one point, not to jump too far ahead, when he's talking to NASA, they're like, just be careful what you say. The entire world's watching it. And he's like, okay, boobs.
Yeah.
I like when he said, "That's what she said." That was my hero. He's my hero because he said that to NASA.
Yeah.
He just did not give a shit.
Exactly.
But that being said, this is definitely the easiest to read, hard sci-fi novel, I think.
Oh, absolutely.
Probably around for, probably ever.
Absolutely.
I mean, hard sci-fi gets pretty bogged down, and this kind of wrote that line.
Yeah.
But I appreciated that, and it's a lot more accessible to just everybody.
Yeah, I would agree.
Oh yeah, I definitely agree with that.
This is a good kind of intro, I think, for people who maybe aren't used to reading hard sci-fi. This is probably a really good intro to that different
I would
world
agree
of
with that.
sci-fi books that are.
Yeah,
It's
I
a
don't know if I
gateway
could have made it through this book
It's a
without the
gateway drug.
humor. So
Yeah, it's a gateway book basically.
That and the part where he starts talking about, once again, not to jump too far ahead, when he starts talking about he wasn't given permission to go, commandeer some of the, the other things that are on Mars.
so he's
and
technically a pirate.
He's
Yeah.
technically a space pirate, and I'm just
Yeah.
like, I only wish I could be that cool and collected in that type of a situation, but I'm just like, that is fucking awesome.
Well, that's what I
Right.
had a really hard time getting my head around was like, I just kept having horrible anxiety about oh my god, I would be freaking out, but he's just like, whatever, everything's totally fine,
Yeah.
I don't know.
Well, I'm sure after a while, it's like anyone who lives in any place that's either extremely cold or extremely hot, you're just like, well, this is what I have to do to survive, and that's just what I'm going to do. So,
Well, they did say in there that he was picked. Part of the reason he got picked for the mission was because of his personality.
exactly.
Yeah,
yes.
it's independence is something they look
And
for.
he's got a good demeanor and a good disposition and a good outlook. He's an optimist, and that was a big part of why he got chosen, is because he would keep up morale, even if things got hard.
I think this would have been a very different book if it was the perception of any of the other crew.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
They would have been dead.
Oh my
It would have been a
god.
very short book.
Yeah, it would have been
Yeah.
definitely.
Well,
And she cried herself to death.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I mean, okay, so and in the book he talks about everyone on the mission, and I mean this from my understanding this is true. Everyone who is picked to go on a mission has not just one but multiple specialties, and his happened to be the two that would save him most likely, being the mechanic and being the botanist.
Yeah.
So, which is not a completely unlikely pairing. So it's not like, oh well, there's no way this this person would ever have these specialties. It's just like, well, that's what I was chosen for. But yeah, and they just happen to save my life. Because had the psychologist been left there, it probably wouldn't have worked out so well.
For sure.
how do I feel about being left alone?
Yeah.
Exactly.
Never been worried about the crew flying back. How are they feeling right now?
Yes.
Yeah.
About the loss
Exactly.
of
Although that is touched on
Well,
as well in the
speaking of
book, and I like that too.
True. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
But it's touched on.
It's not in depth. No.
Yeah.
You get just
The
enough of
Earth is way more worried about than he is, which is accurate, I guess, because he's a little preoccupied with not
Surviving?
That whole thing.
When we get chapter 6, that's when the book starts to change. That's when we start getting other input. Because I'm like you, when I first started reading it, the first time that I read it, I thought, wow, is this literally just going to be this one guy's diary entries all the way until the end of the book? And then, like I said, you hit chapter 6, and then we start getting the other side of the token, and that's where NASA, figures out that he is alive, and immediately starts figuring out what the hell they're going to do, if they're going to be able to, contact him. They immediately start running through lots of scenarios. They figure out there's no way they can contact him at this point. And they're like, well, what can we do? How can we speed up the next trip to go get him? Because, we've got to do something. We can't just let this guy, die. And then they realize what he has figured out is that he can travel using one of the rovers, and or using one of the little traveling pods. I don't remember what he called them exactly.
It's the rovers, yeah.
Yeah, it's a rover. But I was thinking of the rover because of the previous rovers that were actually landed on Mars. He goes and pulls the radar out of it, makes a trip, pulls the radar out of it, brings it back, manages to get it wired up, and starts to communicate with NASA. And at this point, they start having very basic talks. We won't go into all the detail, but basically it was using a series of cameras and
Which was my
letters and stuff.
favorite part. Them figuring out how to communicate, I think, was so fascinating.
Really?
Yeah, I
thought it was really good too.
Yeah, I love that really basic, simple way to communicate over billions of miles. I thought it just really cool contrast between, using these high-tech devices to communicate, thousands of, billions of miles, but it's this very rudimentary way to communicate. I thought that was really cool.
I the other part that I liked was the scene where the what's his name? It's Vince in the movie.
Venkat.
Venkat. So Venkat grabs the picture off the wall and starts drawing all on it, and the guy gets pissed off.
Yes, speaking of
yeah.
horror, yes.
Yeah, it's like, we'll get you another one in the gift shop or
Yeah.
yeah, or whatever.
Yeah.
It was. Yeah.
Just those little touches made it.
Well, it made it a
that was another thing.
technical book very human, which
Yes.
saved
Yeah.
it for me.
Yeah, and he screws up several times in the book. Like the point where he's like, "Oh, I'll just take a laptop outside," and then immediately realizes once he gets it outside that the screen won't work because
Yeah.
the liquid immediately
Apparently, the
evaporates.
L in LCD stands for
Yeah.
liquid.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's like but I mean, think about it. If you were, excited, you think you're going to die on another planet, and all of a sudden you realize, wow, I can communicate with Earth, with human beings
Cool.
again.
Yeah.
You're going to be like, all right, let's just do this, and kind of forget about, so that was one of the other things that was very humanizing about the book is he wasn't a Superman.
Yeah.
He was an extremely smart dude, but he was not a Superman. He screwed up several times, and he, copped to all of it.
Yeah.
But he was a believable character. He was, like I said, he wasn't, a super genius. He was just extremely smart and extremely crafty. And of course, being in a situation where you're going to die, that probably brings that out a little more.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
But anyway, so he starts talking to NASA. They start getting a crew together, or a mission together, to see if they can send him food. It's at this point that they decide to finally tell the crew that is on their way back that he's alive. And of course, it's pretty brief, but they discuss. Most of them are pretty happy and excited, and of course, immediately feel remorse, and the commander is just beside herself. Because she's like, well, I left him, and of course, they're like, there's nothing you could have done. Yeah. They try to send food, but it fails. Goes into a very technical detail as to why it fails. I'm not a rocket scientist, but that all sounds pretty legit.
Right?
Yeah.
That basically like liquefaction.
So yes, that all checks out. Cool.
Yeah. China steps up, decides to help out, in return for, some future favors to go to Mars.
And I liked how they did that too, where they were like, listen, because it is true, their rockets are very, very, in-house, and we don't know what's going on with them sometimes. And
yeah,
the misinformation that's out there. And what's pretty cool too is that they're like, well, Earth wouldn't, the rest of the world wouldn't know that we didn't help, despite us being able to, if we chose not to do it.
Yeah, that was really realistic too.
And then, I mean, even though they were excited to help, they did want to help. They couldn't help. The minister couldn't help but still lament the fact that he's like, well, we've been working on this for this is enough money that we'll never get this much money back again, and this pretty much just killed our current program. So
yeah.
But that's what I like, that they did discuss it, and they're like, you know what, we're going to help anyway.
Because it's really good publicity and everything for them. It's just a win-win if they help them. Yeah. So
So they come up with a plan. They're going to try to shoot some food to him, and it's at this point that he has his first, I guess, really major setback, and that's when the airlock blows.
Yeah.
He gets fumbled out, around on the planet, and is trying to figure out what the hell's going on. And once he finally gets back in, that all of his hard work, all of his potatoes are now dead, along with the bacteria.
Death of the potatoes. That was a bummer.
Yeah. Right. The thing I liked about it, though, it's such a human error to make.
Yeah. Oh yeah,
favored one.
You wouldn't
airlock.
This is the airlock that's closest to where I'm going. Why would I go to these other ones?
Yeah.
Yeah, because it's path of least resistance, right? Like you just
exactly.
That's the easiest way. I'm going to go that way, and that's what caused it to go. And
it's just something you wouldn't think of.
No, not at all.
It's just such a random. Well, not random, but it's just such a small little detail that you wouldn't think of as you're, trying to grow food out of your own poop.
Yeah. But I like how he interjected how the canvas was made and the small little flaw that would like how that little description eventually led up to the actually that airlock exploding basically. I liked how he put that little
because you're like, why the hell did who gives a shit that this stuff was made, and that's great. Why is this
right?
And then you get it again, it's like, okay, there's something to this. And then
you're like, oh,
I like that.
Yeah, he does that several times in the book. Actually, he also the other part that was very memorable to me was when the rocket was the first rocket with the food was going up, and he talks about how all these checks are normally done, and like these bolts, like there was just one minor imperfection, and it wouldn't have been so bad, but it sheared off, and then it put all of the pressure on the other bolts, and then it just snowballs very quickly, and then the whole the rocket explodes.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that reminded me of like real life stuff that has happened to our shuttles.
Yeah.
One little
tiny little infinitesimal.
Yeah, one little heat shield was cracked, or that was a little too cold and it broke off just because there was maybe a rush job or it wasn't checked there. I mean, it happens. So it's real stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Brings it to reality again.
Yeah.
So the airlock blows, kills all the plants. And it's at this point that they start coming up with there's in the book, there's definitely two different sides. There's kind of the more level-headed and the more, I don't remember the guy's name, but kind of the cowboy of the group. And he's like, they start coming up with a plan about how another way that they could save them. And it's brought to him by a number cruncher, and he figures out that there's a way that they can, instead of shooting the food to Mars, they basically shoot it up as a resupply, have the Ares 3 group make a slingshot around the Earth, and then head back to go pick him up.
Which I love that character. That character that comes up with the idea is hilarious. Yeah, Parnell.
Yeah,
Parnell. Rich Parnell. That's what it was.
Oh, in the movie, he's hilarious.
Yeah, because that was the line.
Yeah.
So anyway, they come up with the idea. Of course, NASA shoots it down, and it's secretly sent up to the Ares 3 mission. They decide unanimously that they're going to go for it. And at one point, right as they are about to enact it, that's why I remembered Rich Purnell, because they, that was the message that they sent NASA, was that Rich Purnell's steely-eyed gunslinger or something like that. And and they're like, well, what the hell's going on? They change course, and they go through all the information on that. So they shoot the rocket up, and they catch the information. There's a brief point there where they're communicating with their families. The Ares 3 group are communicating with their families, and this is about the only real backstory we get. But I thought it was
really
just
like
enough.
That.
Yes, I thought it was just enough that it really explained their characters.
Yeah.
I thought that added a lot. Sorry.
Because up to that point, they're just people on a ship.
That's nuts. Yeah.
Yeah, because about the only real personality we really kind of get is for the commander, and it's because of her love of disco that he just hates.
It's her heart. Yeah.
It's literally my worst nightmare.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, no,
Sit on Mars with nothing but disco and Three's Company to watch.
Hey, dude,
let me tell you, I could watch the 70s TV show a little better than I could the music. I'm just going to be honest.
Yeah.
I love the girl that tells her parents that they're going to let her live.
Yes, that.
Oh, yeah.
Me. That was awful.
Yep.
Like, don't worry, they've got a plan for me because I'm the only survivor.
Yeah. Like, I'm not going to. Oh, that was awful.
But I mean, that's the type of shit that, think about it, I mean, astronauts are freaking space cowboys. I mean, and this is the type of shit they would have come up with. They're like, all right, well, we're going to do this. And if things go to hell, then you're going to eat us and you're going to survive. And that's just the way it's going to be. So,
yeah.
It was just interesting because I feel like, I'm not a rocket scientist, clearly, but I feel like I know a bit about space travel, just being a dork. And they pointed out a lot of contingency stuff that I just never even thought about.
Mhm.
Yeah.
As far as like what happens when these missions go wrong. Like I just totally a whole new ball game as far as all that's concerned. So it was interesting. I thought that was really cool.
It was like there's a billion things that can go wrong, and there's one way for it to go right. You know?
Yep.
Yeah.
Which is
It's at this point they decide they're going to go through with the plan, even though and NASA's kind of powerless to change their mind or anything.
What are you gonna do, NASA?
Yeah, so they send him the information. They tell him what's going on. Of course, he's blown away. He's like, "Oh my God, they're coming back! They're coming back for me." And he has a little communication with them, I think. And then he has his next major setback. And once again, it's a minor thing, human error situation. He's in the process of modifying the rover according to what NASA's told him, and is drilling out a bunch of holes. And he puts down his drill, and it catches the Mylar balloon, and it shorts out the communication system. And he's once again without any communication to Earth.
Yeah, he basically gets
And there's no real.
back to where he was.
Yeah, and he goes back to Morse code with rocks.
Yeah, which I thought was super cool.
Yeah.
Again,
Yeah.
So he decides he's going to keep going into. He's going to just basically continue on with the plan. That's what the plan was. That's what we're going to go with. So he starts modifying this rover, doing it the best that he possibly can. Once again, that engineering degree really kicking in there.
Those are useful sometimes.
Yeah, I know, right? And then the next cliffhanger. I mean, this book is pretty much just one cliffhanger after another.
Seriously.
But he runs into this giant dust storm, and he does manage to figure out and it keeps cutting back and forth to NASA, and especially like their interviews and stuff with the news, and they're talking about how is he going to figure out about this dust storm, and they're like, we have no idea, but once he goes in so far, he's doomed. He can't make it out. But like I said, he's a pretty smart guy. He figures it out.
But I like that.
And
And
then
that's the contingency plan for that is like, well, we just kind of have to hope that he's smart enough and he notices. So,
yeah, right?
well,
Yeah, that's the suck. It's basically
Yeah.
The way
Yeah.
that he figures out like which way it's moving was fascinating to me because
Oh, yeah.
I figured
Very-
he's screwed. Like that's it. He's done. To figure out where it's going and how to outrun it. It's like
Yeah.
super
he's smart, man.
Like I said, the guy who did the author did a lot of research and is obviously a pretty bright guy that wrote this. I know NASA loved the book. I mean, even though there are technical inaccuracies, they did point out or whatever. For them, they're like, this was great. He gets around the dust storm, reestablishes communication with NASA. Then he starts modifying the ship, and that's one of the things that really got me was when they start talking about how much weight they have to get off of the ship, and they start explaining it. And when they get to the point, they're like, "We're going to take the nose cone off," and he's like, "So basically, you're setting me up in a convertible." They're like, "No, we're actually going to put a piece of like tarp on top of it." He's like, "Oh, so it's a rag top? That's much
like,
better."
you gotta put a tarp on it.
Yeah.
Well, but just before he even gets there, he rolls the friggin' rover over too.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that. Yeah.
Just one thing after the other with this guy.
Say modify, aka they just like rips everything apart.
Yes,
Modify.
Exactly,
Or
yeah.
his,
He's gonna rip all this shit off.
I was very delicate with using my tools, hammer.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, I forgot about that. Oh man.
Again, very, very intelligent writing.
Yes, very intelligent. And then they start to enact the plan. The ship is coming in. It can't quite make it. So now we have an emergency on the other end, and they're trying to figure out how to slow down the Ares ship. And they're like, "We're going to cause an explosion." And of course, NASA's like, "You're what?"
Sorry, excuse me? You're going to do what?
Exactly.
But what I love about it is it's 12 minutes past, so they can't say anything anyway.
Oh yeah, exactly. And they explain that they're like, yeah, it's there's 12 minutes of communication lag, so like it doesn't matter at this point. We can't do anything. So
it's already been done.
Yeah, by the time they hear it, it's already been done.
yeah. And one of the things he suggests in the book is he's like, I could poke a hole. I could poke a hole in my suit
the arm
and
of my
try
suit.
to fly towards you. And like Iron Man, they're like, no,
fucking
dangerous. But I'd be fucking Iron Man. They're like, no. But anyway, so they managed to get to it. They managed to get to him. They pull him out of the ship. They get him back to the Ares. And the book ends with him, getting out of the suit and everyone immediately wanting to hug him and just going, "Oh my God, you reek!"
Yeah.
Right? Yeah.
And I did like how he said, if this was the Hollywood movie, there'd be all high fives around. We'd all be in the airlock together and then move on. But
Yeah,
they take him immediately to sick bay instead to deal with his ribs. And
yeah, exactly.
you need to have a shower.
Yeah.
Well, that's not the only superhero that he mentions in the book.
No, not even close.
And one of my favorite, I think actually my favorite line is just, how come Aquaman can control whales? They're males. That makes no sense. They're like, I wonder what deep philosophical things he's thinking.
Yep.
Just his thinking about Aquaman.
Oh my
was-
God.
Yeah,
was
very,
great.
That was
I really
so
like that.
good.
Yeah, that made me laugh.
Well, he's
Well, one
not
of the reasons
wrong.
why a lot of people really love this book,
It's true, yeah.
myself included, is because the hero is. We've talked about this. He's a very a very lovable guy. He's a very smart guy. And even though he's not a superhero, I mean, he's basically kind of a superhero because he's a scientist, and we need more of this shit. Which is why some of my favorite superheroes are scientists as well. But yeah, the fact that he was able to use his brain to save his ass so many times, and it's pretty much the only reason he survived this entire ordeal is because he used his brain the entire time.
But I also like that he didn't stay down very long. Like,
True.
Oh shit, I'm fucked. Okay, what do I do now?
Yeah.
Even
And he
when
didn't
like
have those moments.
Yeah,
he didn't have the
the
breakdowns. And I'm
airlock.
glad he had those breakdowns too.
Yeah.
Yes.
I
He's
really
just like, well, fuck, I'm
appreciate-
done. I'm dead.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When he when the airlock thing happens, he's just like, fuck this fucking planet. This fucking
Yeah.
planet will
Exactly,
fucking
yeah.
kill me.
I'm gonna.
I
And he
love
flips the
that.
planet off, leaves,
Yeah.
which I don't blame him because they tried to kill him the whole time he was there.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's rough.
The murdering drill and everything. Yeah.
Which is why, but I mean the drill. I mean the and like you said, the way that it's written, the fact that it's all these journal entries, like that's one journal entry is fuck this planet, fuck everything here, it's trying to kill me. I'm done, and it's literally the next journal entry is like,
2 minutes
Okay.
later, I'm not
I've been
even.
thinking about it.
Yeah.
I'm not as bad as I thought I was. Here's what I can do.
So I have a plan.
Especially when he was in that airlock. That was where he really lost his shit.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which I'll be honest, that is kind of how I operate. I will get into a situation and I'll be like, well, I'm doomed. I can't figure my way out of this. Things are really going to hell. And then, I have to stop, take a deep breath, think about it. Like, all right, what can I do to get out of this? And go from there. But you have to have those moments of breakdown. And once again, that's one of the reasons why this is such a likable, realistic character, because these are the type of emotions people would go through. So,
Yeah.
Couple of quick questions. Well, I guess let's go ahead and just go around the group. Did you like the book or not? I'll just start with Lanie.
I actually did like the book. I'll be very honest, I've been wanting to read it, but I had kind of shied away from it because it's pretty intense, like as far as sci-fi goes, and I've kind of tiptoed around it, and so I was a little concerned, but I actually really enjoyed it. I think, like I said, the voice that it's written in, and the humor, and like the real heart of the book, like made it really, really likable for me. So I really enjoyed it.
Good deal. Kris.
I really liked the book, and I really liked all of the characters actually in the whole book. It was a little, when there were big chunks of Mark explaining what he was doing, it was a bit like, okay, yeah, I get it. All right, I don't care. And so that was a little bit much for me, only because I hate math. But I really, really liked it, and I really liked Andy Weir's writing.
Right?
So opposite for me, well, not opposite, but I just really enjoyed those scientific points and how they wrote it out, and it'd be like, I sitting there reading it, was like, how would I figure this out, and how would I do it, and it was really I enjoyed the whole thing.
Because you're super smart, that's why.
It's not that I'm super
I wouldn't. I would have just cried and then died on Mars.
I would have too, Lanie. I would have been like, I'm
Well, cool. Tell Molly I love her. Bye. Like,
I'm just gonna turn my oxygen off and
yeah,
go to
just
sleep.
good night, sweet prince, and that would have been it.
Froze.
Boldy, what are your thoughts?
Well, I liked the book. I mean, it was one of the first science fiction books I'd read in a long time. But I think it's a pivotal book in the science fiction realm because of the language used, and that it is genuinely an easy read. Yeah, kind of, you get hung up on some of the scientific parts, but you just tell yourself, blah, 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 this is the only guy on Mars, and he's going to, he's going to find a way to survive. And I think the pivotal moment for me came when it did transition from just his point of view to where you got the other side of the story. And then you have that element of time that is your biggest enemy in any book ever. Because you're competing with that in your mind as, okay, we've got to rescue him, we've got to have him survive. How much time can any one person really have? And so that's what makes it compelling too. I think that anytime you have a book where there is one character and that
Hello?
and you are forced.
Oh, there we go.
You are forced to survive with him. So it's a tricky thing to do. It's a tricky way to write, but it was good. I liked it. I kind of anticipate that he'll write some more, and we'll see if it's along the same lines.
Jennifer?
Yeah, I loved it. I thought it was a great story, easy to read. The science was kind of slow moving at times, but it also made it interesting because you thought, wow, this is actually legit, or he actually could have survived if this had really happened. So yeah, I liked it.
Parker?
Yeah, I read the book before and I enjoyed it the first time. I said it's a pretty easy read, at least for me. I'm used to these kind of books and I could put it down. I read it just as fast as I did the first time. So it's just good. Yeah,
I agree. I went through it pretty quick. I think this is my third or fourth time going through it.
wow.
I did really enjoy it. So a couple quick questions I had for the group. I got to thinking about this today. Did anyone at any point think he wasn't going to survive?
Yes.
Absolutely.
Okay.
The only time I thought he wasn't was at the very end. And I was like, of course, he makes it through all this stuff. And you think, oh, well, of course he's going to make it. And I was like, that's when he's going to flip the script and he's going to die on the way up.
I kept thinking there would be some kind of like epilogue or something where it's like, yeah, they rescue him and then they die on the way back to Earth.
Oh, wow, you're going really morbid.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that was my thought. I was like, yep, this is it.
But I think that's a key thing that the author had to decide. He had to decide whether or not immediately that guy, because leaving the reader with the aspect that, okay, your main character died, you're leaving your reader guilt-ridden forever.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
And that's sometimes,
Which is, has happened before,
Sure.
but
it's happened in numerous, stories. At the same time, do you want, as you yourself being the person forcing that upon millions of readers, do you want the guilt or do you want success? So,
Rodney would have been a tough character to lose, too.
Yeah.
he's lovable
Well,
as
see,
a
I
person.
think
He would make it.
Yeah.
That's what made it so much more powerful.
Exactly. That's why I thought he was really going to do it.
Well, and what I feared was, how Beck goes out, and then they revealed that Beck had the relationship with Johansson.
Yeah.
I thought we were going to lose Beck for him instead.
Yeah.
And I thought, there's going to be that aspect of it, but I'm glad it didn't.
Bittersweet kind of deal.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Like most sci-fi movies.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, I was a little afraid at the very beginning of the book, just that before we got to when we started getting the other perspective, I thought, I wonder if this is literally going to be his diary entries the entire way, and at the end of the book, it's literally going to be, we found Mark's, documents on the next mission, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, I thought
Whatever.
that's what I kept thinking. I know what the book is about, but I was really going into it really blind, and I was like, is it going to be just him speaking the entire way? Is there going to be any other points of view? Am I going to hear the voices of any other, character? I don't know. I was very intrigued at how he was going to manage this book.
Yeah.
So I was very impressed.
Well, and the big thing is that most people, he's written one other short story, so no one really knew who this guy was when he came out, so no one knew his writing style or anything about him, really. So that was another thing that you had no idea going in.
And the fact that this was his first book and he got a major motion picture deal out of it.
Like a couple of years later.
Yeah.
Real fast.
Do you think he's gonna pull like a Harper Lee though, and like not write anything ever again, and then somebody tricks him into releasing a book that he doesn't want to release?
I don't know. He's very active and talkative in the space community. I have a feeling we're going to see something else from him. I don't know exactly what it's going to be.
I'd love to see it.
But yeah, I'm not hoping for a sequel. At this point, I don't want to see a sequel. I think I would rather see something new.
No, it was tied up in a nice, neat bow at the end. Why on earth would he do a sequel? That would be stupid.
Yeah, I want to see like another space epic would be amazing.
It would be like doing a sequel to Kill a Mockingbird. Sorry.
Yeah. So can we address the elephant in the room?
Which one?
Since we've talked about the movie anyway.
Yeah, no, absolutely. That was the next point I was going to bring, was the movie itself. Who here who's seen the movie? I have.
Yep. We've seen it twice.
Okay. Of course, they always adapt. A movie has to be. And I've come. When I was younger, I thought, well, why don't they just take directly from the book and put it into a movie? The problem is you can't. It's hard to condense that much stuff in a book to put it into a movie. So they do make some changes here and there. One of the big changes that they made, they did change around some of the characters on Earth. They put a lot more into what's his name? He was on Community.
Donald Glover.
I'm sorry, who? Yeah, Glover. They put a little more. They kind of put several of the characters, kind of like rolled him up them and put him into his character. But I thought he was really well done in the book. I cannot believe Kristen Wiig plays the
Annie.
Yeah, that was a bit random.
Right?
Yeah, I thought that was a little odd.
You know what? I thought she kind of pulled it off though, because
I thought she did a good job. I just thought it was odd for her.
It was odd.
Yeah.
But yeah, like any actress really could have been.
Yeah, it could have
almost
been
more believable than Kristen Wiig.
Yes.
Well, I think I talked to Eugene about this. The weird thing that they changed in the movie from the book is that there wasn't the giant dust storm. In the movie,
Really?
which seems
Yes,
to
they
be
completely.
because that would have added such a huge aspect and like urgency and.
At the end, absolutely.
Yeah, it would have added a lot more.
But I understand why they did it.
But he didn't lose his communications either, did he?
No, not in
the movie either. No, which was another aspect.
Yeah, I know why they changed stuff, but usually for dramatic effect, and they like took out dramatic stuff that they could have had. That was just a weird.
That was a weird one. The other one that I got ticked off with was the rover. Why would they change the rover? Like,
he didn't have his bedroom, and he didn't.
Oh yeah.
The rover was such an integral part of the story, and him drilling through that thing, especially when he loses the communications again, and they didn't talk about that part at all, and they just kind of showed that he drilled through really easily, and there was no problems.
Yeah,
everything's fine.
I didn't think
it says like it was his second home and everything.
Yeah, he gets really attached to that thing. Like it's.
I didn't really think about it until y'all just said this, but yeah, you're right. They did take out that part of that bit of drama about the whole dust storm, and yet they added the part at the end where he did have to like punch a hole in his suit.
Yeah.
So
And I was like,
add that.
I think I understand why they did it.
And sorry, that's the other thing that they changed at the end.
That was a lot more dramatic, that whole scene.
That was, but what I didn't like was that they actually got the commander to go after. So instead of sending back out, they send her.
Yeah, that didn't make sense.
No.
It's like no, that doesn't make any sense.
I didn't understand that.
Well, did they do that? I having not seen the movie, but did they do that since like the commander was the one who like gave orders in the first place to leave him behind as maybe like a little demon?
They did what Hollywood did. They did it because it was her decision to leave him, so it's her decision to go get him. Yeah. Whereas the book is definitely more realistic in that
there's no reason why she would ever be doing that.
Yeah. Space flight was not my specialty.
Yeah. Why would the commander go out and do a spacewalk? That doesn't make any sense.
Exactly.
But they made that whole rescue scene a lot more dramatic in the movie. Like she went out, he had to cut his hand, and then just like getting to him was, I feel like it was more dramatic. They had to do a lot more. They were going faster. I don't know.
You got to ring out that drama in the last 2 minutes.
Well, see, that's what I was saying.
Yeah.
I mean, I know the movies are supposed to be dramatic, so why did they take out huge dramatic elements in the book?
Yeah.
It just seems really odd.
The only thing that I could think of is that they were sometimes, and it did feel like this in the book a bit, where it's like, okay, this is just one more disaster. What else are you going to put this guy through? And so I could see in a short movie where they would take out something. I just thought the dust storm and the drill were two that I thought they would have kept in.
Yeah, the dust storm for sure, because that's at the end of the book here. Like, damn, this guy's getting there, and oh crap, it's just one more thing. You can't, that was.
And they kind of just skipped over that very, very large. He's traveling for months.
Yeah,
well, not months, but
60 something days or souls.
Yeah, 60 somewhat souls for him to travel, and they kind of just brush over it in the. Like it was a couple of days in the.
I'm here. Yeah.
Oh, I'm there.
And that's why I watched the movie before I read the book.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, this is one of those that I enjoyed both. I like what they did. I like the adaptation they did for the movie. I understand the changes that they made.
Yeah, the movie was great.
Yep.
But it's definitely, and this is one of those few. We've had this conversation on the other show where I have no problem telling people go watch the movie, and if the book seems daunting to you, go watch the movie. If you really like the movie, then read the book because it's that and so much more.
Yeah.
Whereas there are some, and I traditionally like to tell people that, but there have been several movies that have come out, and maybe we'll get to some of those books eventually, where I'm like, no, stay away from the movie because if you think that's what the book's about, you have no idea.
Mm-hmm.
But this is one of those cases. I think they did a really good adaptation. So
yeah.
What's interesting is, I'm sorry, go on.
So I was just going to say that the casting was actually pretty good, especially for one.
Yes, absolutely. I think he was a perfect choice for one.
It's always a good choice.
Yeah. Okay, Lanie.
So supposedly he read the book and fell in love with it and was like, I want to play this character. And I think that's why the movie got pushed as quickly as it did, because he can pretty much choose his roles at this point. And when he threw his weight behind it. Yeah. Because he did a damn good job on this. Speaking of the movie, what was funny is like literally right before, just weeks before the movie came out, NASA came forward and said that they found in certain situations liquid water on Mars. And a lot of people were like, well, I wonder how that would change the story. And rereading the book, it would have changed some things. Granted, most of the water that they found on Mars is at the poles, but water was really not his biggest problem. Food and oxygen were really kind of his biggest problem.
Even if there had been water, he wouldn't have been able to get it for his crops or anything like that. So it really wouldn't have.
Yeah.
Yeah, because how much could he carry? If he's going to have to go somewhere, drill to get underneath the surface, and then how is he going to extract it? And water is pretty heavy. And
And if you watch Doctor Who, you don't drink the Mars water.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Martian's Revenge. You can't.
Martian's Revenge. That's pretty good.
You're welcome.
But yeah, so and then the last thing I wanted to bring up, kind of tied to the book, is as you know, we have privatized space travel. Thank goodness. And SpaceX is saying within 10 years, within our lifetime, we are there. Have a plan to head to Mars. So with that being said, would any of you go?
Yes.
Parker will. Yeah, Parker would.
I would go if Ray and the kids could come with me,
Okay.
but I wouldn't go by myself.
Why do you say yes, Parker? Is it that's just in your?
To step on another planet?
Yeah.
I mean, that's all it.
Oh no, that's pretty
Do I have to
badass. I'll be
say
very honest with you.
anything
That's
else?
pretty badass.
That's.
He wants to geologize on another planet.
Well, I mean, I mean, obviously yes, but I mean, to see a bunch of really cool stuff. But I mean, just to literally just stand on another body, that's incredible.
Mhm.
That's incredible. I have one-way
I have
ticket.
a problem.
Easy.
I have a problem with the whole living in a place where anything could go wrong and you could die instantly.
Yeah.
From asphyxiation, from the weather, from I feel like we're a long ways off from being able to live comfortably without any worries of catastrophic, a tear in the hab and the whole place,
out you go. So.
Sure.
Okay, so what if
at this point
No,
in my life, I would not sign up for that trip.
Space travel is legit one of my biggest fears. I find it absolutely fascinating. I think it's super, super cool. I like to read about it. However, I could never do it because there's
Terrifying.
too much that could go wrong. I can't.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Me before kids and Chris, absolutely, without a doubt, I'd be on the first ship out.
That's what I'm saying. I don't have any.
Yeah, he doesn't care. He'll just go.
Yeah, I'm good.
Yeah, now that I have responsibilities, not so much.
Okay, so what if it was changed? What if we're not talking about 10 years now, we're talking about 20 years from now. We've been to Mars, we have actual every 6 months we send up a ship to Mars and people are literally getting contracted all right, well, for whatever job you're doing, here's a contract, you're going to sign it and we're going to send you to Mars, all expenses paid, and we're going to pay you really well and you're going to work there for, let's say, 2 years, about working on say an offshore drilling situation, and after 2 years you'll hop back on the next shuttle and you'll come back to Earth.
Oh yeah, that I could do.
2 years on, 1 year off.
Nope.
Yeah.
Still the same thing. In the grand scheme of things, that 20 years is minuscule compared to how long the Earth has survived. So no, don't put me on that. No,
Colby's not doing it.
Then I'm going.
Listen, there's a good track record here on Earth. I'm just saying.
that's right. I'm saying.
Okay, how about this? What
Dinosaurs
about,
happened billions of years ago, but my God, 20 years is nothing.
well, what about Mars? What if we have colonies on Mars? Would you go to Mars?
No, I just said that, Parker.
Oh.
Hell no. I like my planet.
She's staying here.
Okay.
Goldie needs a planet with a
Fair
track
enough.
record that she knows more about.
Fair
So she's a woman of research. She wants to make sure that she knows what she's getting into.
Exactly. 20
And
years
that's
is not long enough.
Yeah, no, I would do that because that would be like working abroad. That'd be fun.
It is abroad.
See, I don't. Even if I wasn't married with kids, I'm not that person. I don't know if I could do it. There's a little part in my heart that would like to say yes. It would be so awesome to do, but I don't know. But I mean, who knows? In 10 years and 20 years, when I'm probably retired or whatever, and it's hey, look, go take a 3 month vacation to Mars or whatever. Before I die, that might be all right, well, cool, whatever. So.
I mean, I'd rather go to Endor, but still.
Well, until we find it.
That's true.
Yeah, you think it's a long trip to Mars?
I know. That galaxy is
It's far
away.
Of course, if that EM drive actually pans out that NASA is testing right
Oh,
now,
man.
they're saying 6 months, which is wow.
Oh yeah.
Did you hear they
But
out for peer review now? It's published?
oh yeah,
Or-
it's
Oh,
crazy
man.
because it pretty much redefines physics as we know it. So,
Yep.
Yeah.
For more on that, no. So with that said, that was our discussion on our first book, The Martian by Andy Weir. Like I think most of us would agree. Go check out the movie if you haven't read the book, or read the book first and then go check out the movie, or vice versa. There are good things in both of them. The casting in the movie is really good. It's enjoyable as a standalone movie. Reading the book, it's wonderful. I mean, it's basically the movie, but so much more. So with that said, let's just go around real quick and share anything that we've been reading. Would anyone like to go first?
Sure. I've been reading The Martian.
All right,
What do you
smart
think of
ass.
that book?
No, unfortunately I haven't been able to read anything else because that was pretty much my only goal for this month. So
Gotcha. I actually just finished on my friend Sai's recommendation. I also finished Dracula, Bram Stoker's Dracula.
Oh, you got through that?
Yes, okay. Now here's the thing, and like I said in the first episode, I don't read, and that I listen to audiobooks, and the version that I got was read by an all-star cast, and that definitely helps with it. But I mean, I like the story of Dracula anyway. But wow. I don't want to say too much, because if we end up doing a book discussion on that one, when we start talking about the difference between it and the movie, there's a lot of differences. But needless to say, I did enjoy it. I'm glad I took his recommendation. There's a lot of classics that I've never read and I'd like to go back and read, and that was on my to-do list. So I knocked one of those out. I'm actually kind of happy about that. So, anyone else reading anything else?
I finished Hannah Hart's memoir. That was pretty good.
Okay.
And
even though you didn't get to go meet her?
Yeah, I'm still kind of salty about that, but I got a chapter in and had to stop to get other stuff done. But I started this little series called the Dressage Chronicles. So it's just a book about this girl in a barn, basically. But it's interesting. It's a really easy, super easy read.
Cool.
But I like it. It's not too bad.
I'm reading
Boldy. I'm sorry. Go on.
and the Principles of Geochemistry.
Yeah, somebody's getting ready for finals over there.
Nope. Yep.
Is it riveting?
Oh man, let me tell you.
Page Turner. Can't
Oh, boy.
put it down.
Boldy, what are you reading? Boldy?
Where's
I think we
Boldy?
may have lost her.
Boldy.
Oh,
Yeah, I'm here. Y'all keep cutting out.
Oh.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I think it's a bad connection.
I'm currently reading another book that's not something I normally read, but it's just a detective story, which is something I normally don't read, but it's called The Trespasser, and so I'll stick with it. Because I usually, even if I don't like a book, I'll usually finish it. So.
Yeah, I'm that way too. I don't know, movies and books and stuff. Movies and books, even if I don't really care for it that much, I tend to finish it. TV series, on the other hand, I'm like, nope, done. I'm moving on.
I'll bail on anything. I don't care.
Jennifer, you reading anything else right now?
Typically I can't read more than one book at a time. I just can't track that many stories, but I did start. A friend of mine actually just published a book called Learning to Write Again, and it's really good. It's kind of a tearjerker, but it's a memoir about dealing with grief, so that's what I'm reading.
Oh.
it's
Very cool.
What's it called?
Learning to Write Again.
Right.
Locals.
R-I-D-E.
R-I-D-E, yeah.
RD, okay.
Yeah, and it's really well written. It's her first book, and I was very impressed with, I'm just a few chapters in, but yeah, really good for her first book, and she has a good team behind her, so.
Very cool.
I want to write a book.
just do it.
Yeah, there's a lot of us that are that way. Well, speaking of books, our next book that we'll be reading for the month of December, if you would like to join us, is...
Roll?
Ready Player One.
Yes.
This is Ernest Cline. It's his first, once again, his first book. He's actually only written 2 books and had them published. But yes, if you would like to join us for our next outing, which will be next month, we're going to be reading Ready Player One. So go ahead and plow through that if you can over the break, and please come back and join us for our next episode. I'm actually going to post on the Facebook group that a couple days before we record. If you'd like to share your thoughts on our on the next book, we'd love to hear them. We even share some of them on the show. But with that said, let's go around and just share where can we find you on the internet, Lanie.
You can find me on Instagram and Twitter at It's a Lanie Bird.
Kris.
I'm going to be reading Harry Potter this month. You didn't ask.
Ooh.
Oh, burn.
And you can find me on Instagram at Lake Life Mama.
Ray?
I'm starting to post again, which Lake Life Artist. I've got some new posts up again, starting to get back into the art, which is nice. So, just.
Oh yeah, go check out Ray's art. It's really cool.
Yeah. Boldy?
Well, you can find me on Twitter at Library Voodoo.
Jennifer?
Twitter and Instagram at Het's Gonna Be Me. HETZ, Gonna Be Me.
That's
Parker.
You can find me on Facebook.
No, you can't.
He's technically there.
I have. My name is Andrew Parker, and I'm on Facebook. There you go.
Yep, that is a completely true statement. You can find my wacky adventures at Optimus Jane on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. You can find the show on iTunes, Stitcher, and Google Play. Of course, the main site is Epically Geeky. You can follow it on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram as well. And like I said, we'll be posting all of the updates for the show and everything else on there. For everyone on the site, have a good night.